Hello everyone, in this video we will talk about division and we will start with division by one digit. Here we have 9 divided by 2. This means that the dividend is 9, we must put here, and the divisor is 2, we must put it here. And the quotient and remainder will appear with us. The dividend is always before the sign, this sign, and the divisor after this sign. Now the first step is to look at the divisor and write its multiplication table, which is like this. The second step is to look for the dividend, which is 9. As we see that the 9 is here between 8 and 10. So we must take the smaller one, which is 8. Now the third step, we must take the answer multiplied by the divisor, which is 4, and write it here. The fourth step, we multiply the number here, which is 4, by the divisor, which is 2, and we get the answer 8. We must write the answer here, 8 here. Now the fifth step, we do subtraction. 9 minus 8 equal 1. So, since the answer, which is 1, is smaller than the divisor, and also we do not hear anything, so this indicates that the process is finished. So we get the quotient, which is 4, and the remainder, which is 1. I will explain the process in another way. If we have 9 pieces of cake and we want to divide it into 2 people, then each person will get 4 pieces of cake and 1 will remain. Now we come here, we have 79 divided by 3. We must first come to the dividend, which is 79, and start with the last number from the left, which is 7. We ask ourselves, is 7 greater or equal to the divisor, which is 3? If the answer is yes, then we can start the process. We search multiplication table. We must search for 7. As we notice that 7 is here between 6 and 9, we must always take the smaller one. So we take 3 times 2 equals 6. Now we write the number multiplied by the divisor, which is 2. We write it here. Now we multiply 2 by 3, so we get 6, and write it here. Now we do subtraction. 7 minus 6 equal 1. Now ask ourselves, is 1 greater or equal to the divisor, which is 3? The answer is no. This means we have put the number beside the 7 here. So beside the 7 we have 9, so we must put 9 here, so we have 19. Now we must also ask ourselves, is 19 greater or equal 3? The answer is yes. This means we can complete the process. We search in table here about the 19. As we see that 19 is here between 18 and 21, we must always take the smaller one. So 3 times 6 equal 18. And write the multiplied number with the divisor here. So we write 6 here. Now we multiply 6 times 3 equal 18. We write 18 here. Now we start with the subtraction. 19 minus 18 equal 1. Now also we ask ourselves, is 1 greater than or equal 3? The answer is no. This means that the process is over, especially since there is nothing here beside the 9. Now we come here, we must first start with the last number in the dividend from the left, which is 1. We ask ourselves, is 1 greater or equal to the divisor, which is 5? The answer is no. This means that we must take the last 2 numbers from the left, which is 12. We also ask ourselves, is 12 greater or equal to the divisor? The answer is yes. 12 is greater than. So we look for 12 in the multiplication table for 5. We find that 12 is here. We must take the smaller one, which is 5 times 2 equal 10, and write the number multiplied by the divisor here. Now we have 2 times 5 equal 10. We write 10 here and do subtraction. 12 minus 10 equal 2. Because 2 is less than 5, we put 4 here. So we have 24. Because 24 is greater than the divisor, we can complete the process. We look for 24 here in the table, multiplication table, and we find that 24 is here. We take the smaller one, which is 5 times 4 equal 20, and complete the process in this way. Hello everyone, in this video we'll talk about division by 2 digits. Here we must put the dividend, and here the divisor, and here the quotient and remainder will appear with us. Always the number before this sign is dividend, and the number after this sign is divisor. The first step we do is come to the dividend, which is 97, and go to the last number on the left. We find the number 9. We ask ourselves, is 9 greater or equal 21? The answer is no. This means that we must take the entire number, so 97. The second step, we come to the divisor and write it multiplication table until we find the 97. We notice that 97 is here between 84 and 105. So we take the smaller one, which is 21 times 4 equal 84. Now we write the number multiplied by the divisor, which is 4. We write it here. And when we write a number here, we must multiply it by the divisor, which is 21 directly. So we get the answer 84. So we write the answer here. Now in this step, we must do subtraction. 97 minus 84 equals 13. Now we ask ourselves, is 13 greater than or equal 21? The answer is no. This means that the process is finished, especially since there is no number here next to the 7. Now we come here, we have in the dividend 152. We cannot take the 1 because it is less than 12. This means we must take the 15 because 15 is greater than the divisor. The second step is to write the multiplication table for the 12 until we find the 15. As we notice that the 15 is here between 12 and 24. So we always take the smaller one. So we take 12 times 1 equals 12. Now we write this number, which is 1. We write it here. And immediately multiply it by the divisor, which we put the answer here. In this step, we do a subtraction. So 15 minus 12 equals 3. Because 3 is less than the divisor, which is 12. So we write the number next to the 15. We write it here. So we have 32. Because 32 is greater than 12, so we can continue the process. We find that the 32 is here between 24 and 36. So we take the smaller one. So we take 12 times 2 equals 24. And we put this 2 here. And immediately multiply it by the divisor. So 2 times 12 equals 24. So we write 24 here. We directly do a subtraction. So 32 minus 24 equals 8. Because 8 smaller than 12, so this means that the process has ended, especially since there is no number here. Now we come here. The first thing we do is look at the dividend and go the last number on the left. There is 1 less than 98. Also 10 is less than 98. So we must take 104 to complete the process because 104 is greater than the divisor 98. The second step is to write the multiplication table for 98. We notice here that 104 is here between 98 and 196. So we take the smaller one, which is 98 times 1 equal 98, and put the number multiplied by the divisor, which is 1. We put it here and immediately multiply it by the divisor and put the answer here. Here we do subtraction, which is 104 minus 98 equals 6. Because 6 is less than 98, we must put this number here as well. 62 is less than the divisor. Here is a very important rule, which is when we move a number from top to bottom and the number remains less than the divisor, we must put 0 here. In other words, here we wrote the 2, so we have 62, and 62, it is also smaller than 98. So that is why we put 0 here. Now we write the 9 here. So we have 629, which is larger than the divisor. So we can complete the process. We look for 629 and we find it here between 588 and 686. So we take the smaller one, which is 98 times 6 equals 588, and we put the 6 here and multiply it by 98. So we get 588. Here we do a subtraction, so we get 41. Because 41 is smaller than the divisor, this means that the process is over, especially since there is no number here. Hello everyone, in this video we'll talk about division by decimal number. Here we have 87.3 divided by 2. As we notice that in the dividend there is a point, but in the divisor there is no point. In this case, when we do not have a point in the divisor, we divide normally. That is, we put the dividend and the divisor in their places. And we look at the dividend, which is 87.3, and go to the last number on the left. Here we have 8 greater than the divisor. This means that we can complete the process. Now in this step, we look for the 8 in the multiplication table for the divisor, which is 2. We find that the 8 is here. 2 times 4 equals 8. So we write the number multiplied by 2, which is 4. We put it here and immediately multiply the 4 by 2 and put the answer here. Now in this step we do a subtraction. 8 minus 8 equals 0. Because 0 is smaller than the divisor, so we put 7 here. The 7 is greater than the 2, so we can complete the process. Now we look for the 7 and we find the 7 is here between 6 and 8. We always take the smaller one, so we take 2 times 3 equals 6 and put the number multiplied by 2, which is 3, and put it here. Immediately we multiply it by 2 and put the answer here. Now we do subtraction. 7 minus 6 equals 1. Because 1 is smaller than the divisor, so we put 3 here. But we notice that there is a point here next to the 3. This means that when we put 3, we must put the point here in the quotient, and we get 13, which is greater than 2. We look for the number 13 in the multiplication table and we find it here between 12 and 14. So we take the smaller one, so we take 2 times 6 equals 12 and we put 6 here. Immediately we multiply it by 2 and put the answer here. Now we do a subtraction to get the answer 1. Here we are done because 1 is smaller than 2 and there is nothing here to put. But in this case, we can also complete the process in this way. we always have the right to put 0 here when the remainder is smaller than the divisor, but when we do this, it is certain that there is a point in the quotient. So the quotient becomes a decimal number. So we put 0 next to the 1 and we get 10, which is greater than 2. So we look for 10 here in the multiplication table. We find it here. So we put 5 here and immediately multiply 5 by 2 to get 10, and we do a subtraction to get 0. Now we have finished the process completely because the number here is 0. Now we move here. We have 152 divided by 1.2. Because there is a point in the divisor, meaning that the divisor is a decimal number, so we must remove the point from the divisor using multiply. Because the point is here, so in order to remove it, we must always go to the right. So we notice that there is one number here. This means that we must multiply by 10 only. So the process becomes like this. As we notice that the divisor has become without a point. Now we can start the process using these numbers. So we take the 15 because it is greater than 12. So we find the 15 here between 12 and 24. So we take the smaller one, which is 12 times 1 equals 12, and put the 1 here, directly multiply it by 12 and put the answer here. And here directly we do a subtraction. 15 minus 12 equals 3. Because 3 is less than 12, so we put the 2 here. So we have 32. Because 32 is greater than 12, so we can complete the process. We find that the 32 is here between 24 and 36. Of course, we always take the smallest. So we take 12 times 2 equals 24, and we put this 2 here and immediately multiply it by 12 and put the answer, which is 24 here, and immediately do a subtraction to get 8. Because 8 is smaller than 12, we put this 0 here and we get 80. We look for 80 here and we find it between 72 and 84. Of course, we take the smallest, so we take 12 times 6 equals 72, and write the multiplied number, the divisor, we write it here, and immediately multiply the 6 by 12 and put the answer here. We immediately do a subtraction to get the answer 8. Since 8 is smaller than 12 and there is no number here, this means that the process is finished. But we can complete it in this way, putting 0 next to the 8 and looking at the quotient. Since there is no point, so it is not a decimal number. We must put a point to become a decimal number. Now we look for 80 in the multiplication table and we find it here between 72 and 84. So we take the smallest. So we take 12 times 6 equals 72 and put this number, which is 6. We put here 6 times 12 equals 72. And here we do a subtraction. 80 minus 72 equals 8. Because 8 is smaller than 12. Also again, we can put 0 here next to 8. So we get 80. And we find that 80 is between 72 and 84. So we take the smaller one, which is 12 times 6 equals 72, and we put this 6 here. 6 times 12 equals 72. We do a subtraction and we get 8. Also, we can complete the process several times. That is, we put 0 next to 8 and we can stop the process when we get about 3 numbers or more after the point, depending on the question. Now we move to here. We have in the dividend and the divisor, we have a point. The first step is to remove the point from the divisor. It doesn't matter if there is a point in the dividend. And in order to remove the point from the divisor, as we noted that there are two numbers after the point on the right. This means that we must multiply by 100 like this. We also see that the point has been removed from the divisor. Now we start the division process. We also see that we must take all 104. We find that 104 is between 63 and 126. So we always take the smaller one. So we take 63 times 2 equal 126. We write this here and immediately multiply it by 63 and write the answer here. Now we do a subtraction. 104 minus 63 equal 41. 41 is smaller than 63, so we must put this 9 here. But as we noticed here, there is a point. When we put the 9 here, we must put a point in the quotient. So we get 419. We find that 419 is between 378 and 441. So we take the smaller one, which is 63 times 6 equals 378. So we write this 6 here, immediately multiply it by 63 to get 378. Now we do subtraction. 419 minus 378 equals 41. Because 41 is smaller than 63, so we cannot complete the process with 41. But we can always put 0 here. But when we put 0, the quotient must be a decimal number, meaning that it contains a point. If there is no point, we must put a point in the appropriate place. As we notice here, there is a point. Now we complete the process. 410 is here, so we take the smaller one, which is 63 times 6 equals 378, and we put the 6 here and multiply the 6 by 63 to get 378. Now we do a subtraction to get 32. Also 32 is smaller than 63, so we can put 0 here, so it becomes 320. We find that 320 is here, so we take 63 times 5 equal 315 and put this 5 here. Also multiply the 5 in the divisor to get 315. 320 minus 315 equal 5. We can also continue in the same way or stop as long as we get 3 numbers after the point. But there is a simple note, which is if we complete the process and put a 0 next to the 5, it becomes 50. And 50 is also less than 63. For this reason, we must put 0 in the quotient and put another 0 next to the 50. So it becomes 500. And we complete the process in this way. Hello everyone, in this video we'll talk about division with decimal number part 2. As we see in the divisor, there is no point, so we start doing the division normally. Here we notice that the whole number part, this means the number after the point on the left, is smaller than the divisor. For this reason, we must put 0 point in the quotient. And this rule, that is which is the whole number part, is smaller than the divisor, we directly put 0 in the quotient. Now we multiply and put the answer here. Here we do subtraction to get the answer 2. Because the 2 is smaller than 5, so we must put this 3 here to get 23. But there is a small note, which is that as we see there is a point here next to the 3. This means that the quotient must be a decimal number. If there is no point in the quotient, we must put a point. But as we see, there is a point in the quotient. Now to complete, 23 is here between 20 and 25. We must take the smaller one, that is 5 times 4 equal 20, and put this 4 here and directly multiply it by 5 to get 20. Now we do a subtraction, so we get 3. Because 3 is smaller than 5, we must put this 1 here. So we have 31, which is greater than 5. We find that 31 is here between 30 and 35. So we take the smaller one, that 5 times 6 equals 30, and we put this 6 here and immediately multiply it by 5 to get 30. Now we do a subtraction to get 1. Because 1 is less than 5, also there is nothing here. So we can now put 0 to complete the process. So we get 10. We notice that it is here 5 times 2 equals 10. So we put this 2 here and multiply it by 5 to get 10. Here we do subtraction. 10 minus 10 equals 0, and the process ends. Now we move here because there is a point in the divisor, meaning that the divisor is decimal number. So the first step is to remove the point by multiply, because after the point on the right there is one number, one digit, so we must multiply by 10 to get rid of the point in the divisor. So we have 11.4 divided by 25. We also notice that the divisor is now without a point. Now we start with the division process. Because the number after the point on the left is smaller than the divisor, so we must put 0 here in the quotient, 0 point. Now we multiply 0 by 25, so we get 0. We do a subtraction, so we get 11. Because 11 is smaller than 25, so we put this 4 here, so we have 114. We find that 114 is here between 100 and 125, so we take the smaller one, which is 25 times 4 equal 100, and we put this 4 here and immediately multiply the 4 by the divisor to get 100, and immediately we do a subtraction to get 14. Because 14 is smaller than 25 and there is nothing here, in this case we can put 0 here to complete the process. So we have 140 larger than the divisor. We find that 140 is here between 125 and 150. So we take the smaller one, 25 times 5 equal 125, and put this 5 here and immediately multiply it by 25 to get 125. Now we do a subtraction to get 15. Because 15 is smaller than the divisor, so we can put 0 here, so we have 150. We find that 150 here is 25 times 6 equal 150, and put the 6 here and immediately multiply it by 25 to get 150 and do subtraction. 150 minus 150 equal 0. The process ends here. Now we move here. As we see in the divisor there is a point, so we must first remove the point from the divisor using multiplication. So the divisor becomes without a point. Now we can start. As we see that 4 is greater than 2, so we can take 4. We notice that 4 is here, 2 times 2 equals 4, and we put this 2 here and immediately multiply it by divisor to get 4. Now we do a subtraction, so we get 0. Because 0 is less than 2, so we put this 5 here. But as we see that there is a point here, this means that the quotient must become a decimal number. Because there is no point in the quotient, so we put this point. Now we continue. We find that 5 is here between 4 and 6, so we take the smaller, 2 times 2 equals 4, and put this 2 here and immediately multiply it by 2 to get 4, and we do a subtraction. 5 minus 4 equals 1. Because 1 is less than 2 and there is nothing here, so in this case we can put 0 here. To get 10, we find that the 10 is here, 2 times 5 equals 10, so we put this 5 here and immediately multiply it by 2, so we get 10, and we do a subtraction to get 0, and the process ends here.